Napoleon Bonaparte didn't dominate Europe through brute force alone. His triumphs were powered by signatures, official seals, and careful accounting. Behind the roar of cannons, a quieter network operated. Treasury clerks, bankers, notaries, and bureaucrats moving money with the same precision generals moved armies. History sells us the myth of battlefield brilliance, the daring maneuvers, the unlikely victories. But it's only part of the story. Napoleon's empire rose because he transformed France's financial system. He grasped what many rulers before him failed to see. A state can outfight opponents temporarily, but true endurance comes from outfinancing them. At the end of the 18th century, France was a fragile elegance cloaked in debt. Kings had borrowed endlessly to fund wars and luxury, taxing the poor while shielding the wealthy. The 1789 revolution toppled political power, but not fiscal chaos. Emergency paper money, called assignats, initially appeared magical. Instant liquidity without the cost, but quickly spiraled into uncontrollable inflation. By the mid-1970s, prices soared, trust eroded, and ordinary commerce stalled. Armies marched in worn shoes. Creditors demanded coin, not promises. France had vision but lacked financial backbone. Into this turmoil, Napoleon arrived in 1799 as first consul. 29, trained as a soldier but thinking systematically, he recognized the first priority, credibility. Before commanding troops, he had to command currency. In a bold move, he created a new kind of bank, neither a courtly privilege nor purely private enterprise, but a hybrid institution to stabilize the state and its economy. In 1800, the Banque de France was founded. Private investors contributed capital while the government set rules and oversight. This balance was deliberate. Too much public control risked political printing sprees. Too much private power risked oligarchic capture. The bank discounted commercial bills, stabilized transactions, and carefully issued notes in Paris. The message was clear. Money will hold value, and wages will spend. Confidence requires anchors, not speeches. Napoleon strengthened two pillars. First, the treasury was professionalized under Nicolas François Moulin, ensuring cash flow was centralized, debts recorded and cut, and improvisation replaced by discipline. Second, he introduced the Franc Germinal in 1803, pegged to fixed gold and silver weights. After years of paper illusions, the currency became tangible again. Bakers, soldiers, and merchants could trust that tomorrow's coin held the same value as today's. Taxes backed this currency. Napoleon ended the corrupt Bourbon system of private collectors and implemented a direct enforceable structure: land tax, personal and movable property levies, professional licenses, and excises. Inspectors kept notebooks, not bribes. Cadastres mapped land accurately, and in 1807 a Supreme Audit Court was created to monitor the flow of funds. Audit was not optional, it was the nervous system of trust. With finances stabilized, Napoleon tackled continuous war. He treated campaigns as cash flow operations. Victories generated revenue. Indemnities from defeated states were recorded. Requisitions were priced, and occupied territories fed occupying armies. The front paid for itself, sparing the home treasury. After Jena, 1806, and Tilsit, 1807, contributions from vanquished states flowed in. In 1803, he sold Louisiana to the U.S., preferring immediate funds over fragile colonial ambitions. Administrative chaos was converted into taxable order. Law codes, customs, local treasuries, even municipal banks to facilitate trade while troops marched. The economy was a second front, but every system faces stress. Napoleon's came in 1806 with the Continental System, a blockade intended to strangle Britain economically. Strategically, it made sense. Practically, human ingenuity broke it. Smuggling, neutral ships, and local collusion undermined enforcement. Allies suffered, Britain adapted, and the blockade's side effects hit France itself. Napoleon learned a key lesson. Coercion can enforce policy temporarily, but it cannot replace the incentives of the market. For a time, victories masked the strain. Austerlitz paid for a year, Wagram bought another. But 1812's Russian campaign was a financial catastrophe. Losses weren't just soldiers and muskets. They were trained human capital. Horses and supplies destroyed mobility, and the treasury had to fund reconstruction. Creditors hesitated, and even the best-run system couldn't finance losses faster than taxes could replenish it. Yet his innovations endured. When Paris fell in 1814, the Banque de France survived. The Franc Germinal remained. Audits continued. Tax collectors kept walking their routes. Napoleon's deeper legacy was a financial backbone for France. Law, money, and administration fused into a durable engine, outlasting the man himself. The lessons for today are striking. Central banks mixing public purpose with private channels, stable currencies, professional tax systems, and predictable property law all reflect his influence. But there's a warning. Systems reliant on constant external revenue, plunder, indemnities, or deficit spending are vulnerable. Fixed costs grow, crises arrive, and the cash engine may fail. Leaders reach for emergency measures, hoping confidence will bridge the gap. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Napoleon's genius lay in credibility, structure, and foresight. His franc anchored trust, audits mapped reality, and the Napoleonic Code enabled reliable contracts. But his experiments, like the Continental System, revealed limits. Enforcement cannot replace economic logic, and momentum-based finance is fragile. For the viewer, the takeaways are clear. 1. Financial literacy is civic literacy. Understand currency, taxes, and law. 2. True wealth comes from structure, trusted money, transparent taxes, predictable courts, auditable accounts. 3. Money and power are intertwined. A functioning financial system enables policy. Ignoring its limits leads to collapse. Imagine the final image, an open ledger beside a map. Napoleon succeeded when the numbers and geography aligned. When the papers contradicted reality, defeat marched. History rarely repeats, but without comprehension, it can crush you just the same. Please subscribe and support me to keep this kind of content coming. Goodbye.